Hey, thanks for being the first guinea pig of ADMR interview.
Oh, more than happy to.
Yeah, I mean, this group has been actually, I just bumped into it randomly because somebody introduced me and I was blown away by the motorcycle presence here. And you guys have been very generous and encouraging me to get into. So really happy, thankful for all the support you've been providing.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, that's the whole reason I started back in really 2016 when I started this group. And there's some background to it. I used to ride with multiple groups here, and I got my bike, and I'm like, I like to ride the bike. And where do I go? I just started riding around, and then I started saying there has to be other people who ride, and there are groups. I came to know about groups, so I started riding with Metro Riders, if you're familiar with them. It's a group mostly in the North Georgia, Atlanta metro area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it an Indian group?
Mostly older people with Harleys, Gold Wings, and some other bikes too. So it's a group it's a meetup group. That's how I came.
Oh, okay.
And I looked at that group and how would it be if we had this group for people from South Asia? Wouldn't that be cool? So I said, why not start it and let's see where it goes. So this group was formed 8
So
years
even
ago.
the Morning Riders group.
No, I wasn't even aware of them. And the Morning Riders were formed later, but I wasn't aware of them. They
just
weren't
happened.
aware of me.
Ah.
And we had only few members, so we really started with like 4 members. And then I started advertising and reaching out to people. I knew some people, so I called them and told them, let's ride in. And that's how it grew. But honestly, this group really grew up.
Oh,
That's
okay,
when
so,
everybody wanted to buy the motorcycle and get out, and everybody, like how I think other South Asian riders during COVID were looking that, hey, I want to go out motorcycling. Is there a group? And I think that's how it really grew after COVID. But first few years, there were few members, maybe from 4 it grew to 10, 15. But now we have like 200 members, 300
Wow.
members on the Facebook group. We have probably about 100 groups on Signal where we are actively scheduling rides. Out of that, I'm pretty sure like 50 there are 50 I have ridden with through one ride or the other. So it has grown quite a bit.
Wow, man. It's almost every weekend somebody's going something.
Every weekend somebody's going. And the fascinating fact here is the group started with just let's ride a motorcycle kind, adventure riding. People bought several dirt bikes. Nobody had a dirt bike in the beginning. They were all road bikes. And then from there it grew into let's do long distance touring. So there have been multiple long distance tours. I've gone to Michigan all the way to Canada. Have gone to Ozarks. So likewise, there are different interests. There is another track group. I haven't gone to track myself, but we got a track group now. So it's not only motorcycling, but different interests in the motorcycling, and be able to kind of find people who are interested in and group together, support each other, and do those activities. So it's been very fascinating.
That's amazing. And it's even more than motorcycle riding too, right?
Yes.
So many groups, so many friendships, so many.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like in the sense, I have read with most people who ride, and then we are having different ideas, but people still wanted to meet each other. So then we started, let's meet Friday evening at some place, and we have so many gatherings where we at least come together, share our motorcycling stories. So there may be a case somebody's just riding on track and somebody's just doing adventure, but these venues we are meeting, sharing our experiences, having some fun. So it's been amazing that friendships have gone beyond just the motorcycling. A good example would be motorcycle camping. People are interested in doing some long distance touring and then staying in some cabins. So now the motorcycling has expanded to how do we combine our other interest into our common interest. So we have done a few trips where we had a camping trip. So everybody went on a motorcycle, stayed at a camping place, had fun. So now the other interests are merging and people are coming closer and closer with those interests. So it's been awesome.
So that's great. So did they found each other naturally, or how did it become from 4 to?
Initially, I think a lot of it was me poaching members here and there. There was a group, Samir, a few others they were part of. So I reached out to them, said, do you want to ride? And at that time, it wasn't like I'm forming this big group or something. The core interest was and see where it goes. So it was more like that. It wasn't a vision that I will have like 300 people group or anything like that. So at that time, it's just contacting them. Hey, we got common interest. Do you want to ride? I found this group and like, do you want to ride together? They also were interested. and we rode. Few members like Sandeep, I met him through Metro Rider. I joined Metro Riders, right? Then we are talking to each other, and then I'm telling, hey, you have form and we ride. Do you want to ride with us? And that's how more and more people grew. There are some other examples where Ash found me on internet.
Oh,
He just
wow.
reached out to me and he said, hey, because Kailash was a Harley rider, he was already riding for 5 years, and during COVID he found me and we reached out, we connected, and it's been one of the best friendships within the group, and it's been awesome. And I used to think I'm getting older here, I got school friends and college friends, and these friendships cannot be developed so late in the age, and I was so wrong. Because I think what I used to think that way, there are old friendships and they're valuable, but you can have new and meaningful friendships that are equally strong. So it's been awesome.
Absolutely, right? And in such a short span, like I could tell that too. I've been with you guys less than 2 years, and you definitely feel connected, right?
Exactly. You feel connected, you feel comfortable. If you can be vulnerable with other people, that's a sign that you feel like you can share information, you can trust people. And I have seen that vulnerability, and in some cases we are so open now. I mean, there are no formalities here, there are no hard feelings, and that really creates a very open environment to enjoy. It's not something that is forced upon anyone.
Totally.
It just grows naturally. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, it's like even when a friend borrowed my motorcycle and he lost the key and had some issue, like I posted in the group asking for help, but so many people reached out directly, immediately offering some solution or offering a trailer or offering this. But having that support is so amazing. That gives a lot of reassurance, right?
Yeah. And that's what the common passion brings to the table. People are really passionate about this, and people who ride and are involved, they want to help others. And that part I really like, being in a group, a supportive group, that you could be traveling over the weekends for a whole week somewhere. You could be in mountains and some remote areas. But that's giving not only you a comfort feeling that you are safe and you have help, but also think about your significant others and people at your home. Even they are getting that assurance. For example, my wife doesn't want me to ride alone. She always asks me, do you have anybody with you? And I say, yeah, I have. I'm going with Mohan and I'm going with Kailash or something like that. And she feels comfortable.
Totally.
So I think there is a great value in not only the members looking at each other and getting the support, but I think that support being there is such a comfort feeling back at home.
Totally, man. Yeah, so generally people who have never ridden before, or the general folklore, and there is some truth to it, right? That motorcycling is very dangerous. So even when I was riding alone, like I had that sense, but when I came for a couple of rides with you guys, that's when I realized like how much care everyone takes care for others, right? How much concern they show for others, how organized and thoughtful, be it riding as a group together or waiting for last person in the signal. So how do you come up with those things?
See, most of the members in the group, we are professionals. We have families, we have children, other people depend on us. Motorcycling is inherently a very risky hobby. The statistic shows, and maybe some people don't want to hear about it, is you are 27 times more likely to die from a motorcycle accident compared to a car accident. So that itself shows you that it's really risky. And it doesn't have to be your mistake. So everybody needs to understand that it's not about just you being safe yourself, but there are circumstances which can impact you. It could be somebody else's fault, or the road could be bad, or sudden stop comes and traffic suddenly. There are so many things that can go wrong. And when you are on a motorcycle, it's inherently risky. Most accidents are low speed or at standstill. So at a minimal, we expect that if you are riding a motorcycle, you have a good gear on you. The last thing I want to see is person without a gear and something like this happens, and I have to watch bleeding right there. So you can take simple steps, wear good shoes, good gear, gloves, helmet, and all these things are minimum, and you can go to the nth degree and protect you, but there is minimum requirement. So pretty much any group ride, we require members have this. Otherwise we straight away tell that we don't accept people without proper equipment, and this is for everybody's benefit.
Totally.
And we want to set some ground rules that this is a risky hobby. You want to have fun, great, but do it in a safe environment.
Totally. Yeah. So about you, like obviously motorcycling is a passion that is rather unique, at least, especially growing up. How did it's a mandatory thing, right? Motorcycle is not a passion in India. It's a survival thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I mean, it's a commuter vehicle. It's not,
Yeah.
for most people, that's the primary vehicle to get around.
But were you passionate even there?
I was very passionate. Since childhood, I wanted a motorcycle, and we're not rich enough that I could just have a motorcycle. So first motorcycle I bought by saving 1.5 years income. And this is back then when salaries were not very high in India. And I was in sales, and I used to travel around, and I suffered so much traveling without a motorcycle. And I really wanted it. I saved 1.5 years income and got my first motorcycle. I remember I paid 42,000 when my salary was probably 2,500, 3,000, 3,300, those range of salaries back then. So you can imagine from that salary, you're trying to save money and buy other stuff as well. So that was my first motorcycle. It was Kawasaki KB100, Kawasaki Bajaj, and it would give 56 kilometers a liter. That was an interesting, attractive factor for me. So I bought the motorcycle, and my brother would also ride it to go to his clients. He's a chartered accountant, so he would also use it. So we both used it. And then for a project, I really wanted to take motorcycle, but they said it's a 3-month project. So I went there, and they kept extending. I missed that motorcycle so much. And after working in like Noida for a couple of years, then I came to US, and I'm looking these listings of motorcycles, the sports bike for like $5,000. I'm like, wow, this is so affordable here compared to salary, of course. You don't have to spend 1.5 years income to get a motorcycle in America. But then I was married then, and my wife is like, if anything happens to you, what am I going to do? So for a long time, I had to wait. And then eventually I convinced my wife that I'll get me some motorcycle. So my first motorcycle in the US was, again, Kawasaki 125 Eliminator. And
125?
Yes.
Wow.
125 Eliminator, and I felt so much at home. I got that motorcycle, I practiced on it. I didn't do MSF course because it was summer, appointments were not available. And honestly, if you're doing MSF, just do it in fall or spring, because you're riding in a parking lot and it's going to be hot.
Yeah.
But anyways, I practiced on that motorcycle, and I went to DMV and I got my license. And since then, I'm on my 10th motorcycle now.
Oh, you're on 10th motorcycle now. Okay. Wow. So how do you like, right now I know you have 4. Talk to me about those. What do you have and why 4?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, typically I like 2 at a time, honestly.
Okay.
I think the 2 works well. I got a 2-car garage, and I have to manage parking the motorcycle, getting out of it. Ideally, I would like to have like 2 that I can just pull out and ride whenever I need. Just this morning, I had to take the other one out, put the other one inside. So instead of playing this puzzle, I think I prefer 2. But anyways, I have 4. So the history is I have FGR 1300 since last 8 years. So I bought it in 2016. It's been a great motorcycle. I put 40,000 miles on it. I have toured all over on it. It's amazing motorcycle. And then I wanted to get into adventure motorcycling, because other people in the group were saying we are going to ride off-road next year. I'm like, okay, I got to get ready. So I need to look for a motorcycle. So I started looking for motorcycles, and I bought V-Strom 650. I think it was a good motorcycle. I wanted to buy BMW GS, but at the time I just got V-Strom, and it was good enough to get started. And then eventually, then I still wanted BMW GS at some point of time. So once I found one that I said, I'm going to get that. And then I will have a touring bike, I will have an adventure bike. And then by that time, there was also talks about, hey, we should do dirt biking. So I went to the dirt biking park in Durham town. I rented a bike for one day, and I kind of liked the experience. It was just a little mixed feeling, but I liked it. And the major part I like it is just going out with friends. And that whole experience with each other. We go there, camp, and we ride and we talk. It's just awesome. So I said, I want to be part of it. So I bought a dirt bike, so that now I have like 3 bikes. And then I was thinking, I go to mountains, and having a sport bike would be good. It was in a long list, try it out kind of bike thing. So S1000XR became available in Florida. It was at a good deal. I thought, I'll buy it and experience it. So that's how I have 4. I have FGR 1300 listed, because I do want to cut down and go to 2. But eventually, I think I will have a BMW GS as a long-term bike. I really like it because now at this age, it's comfortable and it does a lot of stuff. You can go on the road, we can go off-road. It's lighter than FGR 1300. There's a dealer close by. So there are a lot of positives with it. It's got the shaft drive, which is amazing. I'm personally more interested in long distance touring. And for long distance touring, having a shaft drive is a plus because you don't have to do any chain maintenance. Next month, I'm going to South Dakota. It's going to be 4,000 or 4,500 mile trip. And it's just so awesome to be able to just ride and not worry about any chain maintenance or braking or tightening or any of that. So that's going to be my long-term bike. I'm still mixed on the adventure riding. It's been a mixed experience in the sense, it's just a lot of work to go off-road. And I just like to be able to just sit on the bike, take out of the garage and start riding. Come back and park and be done with it instead of wash it and have carry all the gear or trailer it, or now even I got trucks so I don't have a trailer, but even that is still work.
Too much work.
So 4 bikes, 3 of them are technically touring bikes. So my primary interest is still touring.
Yeah.
I need to be able to carry luggage. So 3 bikes, in fact all 4 bikes have ability to carry luggage. 3 bikes are all in the category of more like sport touring.
So if somebody has never ridden before, say in our age group, wants to start, where do they go?
The first thing I would advise is learn online about it. The second thing I would say is go and do MSF course. There have been cases where people tried it and just figured out for themselves that it's not for them, because this is also a skill. Riding a motorcycle is a skill, and some people are just not. People have different skills, and for some people motorcycling is not the skill for them. So you can, in $300 or so, you can go over the weekend, you can get formal education, classroom education, you can get the parking lot practice, and to what extent comes later, but it's do I still want to do it? And you can grow into it. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see people doing is just go out, buy the biggest bike and then complain that, oh, it's so hard, and that's not the good way to acquire skills.
That's nice. And probably get into some group and get it, right?
It's a double-edged sword with groups. One is you can get help from group, but I would advise not riding with groups.
Yeah.
Riding with the groups comes with the downside that you may be tempted to think that I can just follow the next rider. So you may be following somebody who is 10 years experienced and they're so comfortable that they're riding their motorcycle like a bicycle, and you are behind them and some corner comes and you realize that, hey, I'm over speed limit and I can't handle. So it's a recipe for disaster. It has happened in this group.
Okay.
It has happened outside this group, and you need to be very honest with yourself and just accept that this is a skill which can take time. It can take different time based on the person, but it will take some time. So go slow. Buy an easier bike to ride. Practice yourself in the parking lot. And what I'm preaching, I have done myself. I have practiced in the parking lot till I get the confidence before I went on the road. I rode the motorcycle on local roads until I had confidence I can go at freeway speeds. Then I went at freeway speeds. I did not do group riding for 2 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
Primarily because I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's also there.
There is this perception from movies that group riding is all these Harley riders with tattoos and sleeveless shirts. And that's what my wife used to think. And she said, like, no, don't join that. So I had to take her on a group ride with Metro riders. And then she's, oh, these are like people like us. Oh, yeah. That's what a group ride is. You don't have to have a Harley and tattoos and a sleeveless shirt to be a motorcyclist.
Honestly, I've ridden with some of those folks, some of the nicest people out there.
Yeah, even the tattoos and sleeveless shirt doesn't convey what kind of person they are.
Yeah.
They could be nicest people.
Yeah, so it's just nice people. Yeah. It's just so that perception.
Yeah, there's movies create a lot of wrong perceptions.
Negative image,
And generally that's how motorcyclists are projected in movies or TV shows, that these are some tough guys and they just want to fight. But that's far from truth.
So about maintenance, I know you do some of the stuff yourself, right?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do maintenance because I was already doing car maintenance. So when I got into motorcycling, I already had few years of car maintenance experience. And I got into car maintenance because I bought BMW 7 Series, worst mistake of my life. And I was skinned by mechanics. And that time I decided that I'm an engineer, so I should know this stuff. So I said, I'm going to learn this. So I learned it. And then I already had few years of experience. And I had pretty major jobs on cars. So I was like, motorcycle is probably easiest because motorcycle, everything is visible. In some cases, you may have to take tank off or something, but this is a much smaller vehicle. Things are visible. You don't need like a car lift or anything like that. If you have a center stand, you can do most of stuff. And generally what you need on motorcycling is you need to change oil. If you have a shaft drive, you change the shaft drive fluid. You change brake fluid. These are typical things. If you have chain maintenance, these are all easy jobs. If you are to do it, great. Like either way, it's fine. I mean, you still need to make sure you maintain. For me, I like it. I like to tinker with stuff, and I like that I don't have to go anywhere, because taking a bike to the dealer also means that you may have to trailer it and drop it there and go and pick it back again. For me, oil change takes less time than getting to the dealer. So for me, it makes sense. And these are things that there are a bunch of YouTube videos. You search your bike and oil change, and there will be like 10 videos. You can watch them few times and you can be an expert.
Totally.
So it's not a very secret knowledge or something like that. So if you're a little bit handy, you can deal with it. Now there are some maintenance jobs like valve check. I would recommend that you go to the dealer for those kind of jobs, because you can mess up the whole engine if you don't know what you're doing. But even those, with quite some learning, it's possible you can do it. I haven't done it myself, but I've studied, and I think I can do it.
I think for a GS it should be easy. With certain engines, it's
Exactly. Certainly, absolutely correct. GS engines are exposed, so you can see things right there. You still have to remove your crash bars to get to it. So there's a work involved, of course. So you need to be into it. Then it's worth it. If you start calculating number of hours invested and how much it costs, it's probably not going to be worth it. Usually I spend way more time than a standard mechanic can do. But I do it because I enjoy doing it. So
have you considered buying a lift table?
I have a motorcycle jack which serves most of the purpose.
Oh, okay.
I just don't have a space for a lift table, so I'm not going to buy a lift table. But I have a motorcycle jack, you just push with legs and
lifts in the middle.
Yeah, so it
okay.
got
Is that good enough?
a couple of platforms. It's good enough for me.
Can it be used for all bikes? Not sports bikes. Anything that obviously.
Yeah, anything that has something below. Usually those are used for cruisers. So now within other bikes, it just depends whether you can support the engine. And also, like, normally I would advise research your own bike, because engines are different. How the underlying frame is different. For example, FJR, it's got the exhaust pipes going underneath. I lift it on exhaust.
Wow.
Yeah, and there is no problem. Like, there can be a problem, but if you do it safely, it's fine. And there are risks with it, risks with everything. But I have done it many, many times, and it's fine. At the same time, but you have to be able to
lift it. Wow.
And even the table doesn't help. Table just brings it up.
High, yeah.
When the wheels need to go up, you still need to lift the bike somehow.
So what's next for you? Are there any bucket list?
Alaska is my bucket list. I'm really hoping someday I can do it. I know Alaska is going to take full month, so it will need some planning.
Okay.
Unless I want to just fly and ride there. So that is also.
So you're thinking of riding from here?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it needs to be a true adventure.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, there's a Cherry. If you're aware of him, he's going to Alaska.
Now?
Yeah, today I think.
He's leaving already? Oh, man.
I think he's going. I don't know his whole route, but he's going to Alaska. So it's possible, and I know a lot of other people do it. So sometimes we think, oh, that much. For example, 500 miles a day. Oh, that's nothing. People are doing like 800 miles a day. So there is always others people are doing it. So if we think we can do it, if we think we cannot do it, it won't happen.
All right, man. That's awesome. Anything else in the bucket list?
So international trips. I think I want to go to Vietnam someday, some European countries. But again, I think that needs a lot of planning, and within the vacations, you can only do, and I don't know when.
All right, man. That's awesome, man. Thanks for your time. Keep the wheels down. Enjoy. All right. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for inviting me here.
All right. Thank you.